Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. We're a bit late this week, but that is partly because I have a daily show now, so it's a it's a bit of a dance, Russ. It's a bit of a dance.
That's okay.
Russ, I want to start with the biggest story this month for sure, maybe in the last couple months, and that's that Samantha Irvin is gone, effective now, like
Exactly.
last night. Mm,
Last night,
Man,
if you tuned in expecting to hear her voice, you were probably surprised to see Lillian Garcia.
you were probably a little disappointed. If you were expecting Samantha Irvin and you didn't get that, well, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
just when she was really catching a lot of press and a lot of attention from the fans for
she's been
being
catching press for 2 years.
one of the best announcers that they've ever had in the company.
Yeah. I, you know, Now, granted, I will give WWE kudos here because in a really rough situation that this was, you don't lose somebody like that and then just be like, oh, well, I guess we're fine. That doesn't
Right,
happen.
right.
They quickly, from my understand, like they knew about this months ago. WWE knew this was coming. This was not a surprise to them. This was a surprise to a lot of people in the back last night that didn't
Yeah.
know, but this was not a surprise to the front office.
Well, that's
They knew
good.
this was they knew this was coming. And I know they tried a few different things in terms of ideas, in terms of maybe they just go back to Mike Rome. Maybe they, you know, but Mike lives in Florida and didn't really want to travel, and that's why he's on NXT. They'd played with different
Yeah.
ideas. Alicia Taylor moving over from SmackDown was an idea, but ultimately, what they realized was, well, we're losing one of the best announcers we've ever had.
Yes. No
Let's make
doubt
the
about
best
it.
of a bad situation. Let's make the best. This was their theory. Let's make the best of a bad situation. Let's make good with Lillian Garcia, who they who found out she was being let go on Twitter, by the way, when she left 8 years ago. Like that's how she found out she was let go.
That's not good.
And that's just that was a report at the time. I don't know if that's fully true, but that's always what I'd heard. And she'd popped in from time to time, so you knew she was on good terms with the company in some way. But I was
Right.
surprised when the news came out that she was back full time because she just signed a Legends deal.
Yep.
So my thinking was, okay, she's still going to do these like once in a while appearances, whatever. And then last night it starts coming out about an hour before the show. Lillian Garcia is in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Now I didn't think much of that at first because for some reason I thought she lived in Philadelphia. So I was like, oh well,
Yeah.
it's it's Philadelphia. Of course she's there. No. Turns out she doesn't live in Philadelphia, and turns out she is back full time. I don't know how long the deal is. I would presume it's long term because the whole idea here was they wanted someone familiar, someone they know how to work with. Because for better or for worse, Triple H has his preference of certain people, for better or for worse. And he had a really good relationship with Lillian Garcia when she was there the first time
Right.
and the second time because she'd been there twice. You forget she's been there twice. She was
Yes,
there
correct.
once. She was there once in the Attitude Era, left for like what, 2 or 3 years, and then came back.
Yeah.
And then she was there again until like 2015, 2016, and then left again when she found out she got let go on Twitter. Thank you, John Laurinaitis. Um,
Yeah, John Laurinaitis. He was in the
for
news too the other day too,
yeah, for
getting
getting divorced.
a divorce.
Big surprise.
Yeah,
It comes out that you're
not
a
a
total
shocker.
scumbag and your wife leaves you. Big surprise. Anyway, so as all this is happening, and it really happened quick yesterday, like the Irvin stuff came out at like 1, 2 o'clock, and we found out about Lillian Garcia by 6.
Right.
Like this all
It really
happened.
did unfold very quickly.
And, I texted you and I said, Irvin's out of the company. And I think Your exact response was, "I'm sorry, what?"
Right.
She's what's going on?
Well, things happened so fast that there wasn't time for the usual suspects in the so-called wrestling press to get out there with wildly inaccurate stories and rumors. They
Oh,
didn't
that
have
still
time.
happened. There was an inaccurate story, which was that WWE that she quit yesterday on the spot in Philadelphia. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
She gave
that would
notice,
make her look. That makes her sound very unprofessional.
but that's not what happened.
That's not what
She
happened.
gave she gave notice months ago,
Yeah,
and it just never got leaked. It just never came out. So we just heard about it yesterday because it didn't get leaked yesterday because so few people backstage knew about it. That's why there were so many people surprised backstage because so few people knew about it. Because believe this or not, and I don't think this is going to be hard for you to believe, they were trying to keep her right up until the clock struck midnight.
yeah,
I don't
I,
think this
I
should
can believe that.
surprise you. They thought, okay, well, she's given notice and we think we're going to lose her, but there's still that 1% chance that we turn the ship around. And I'm sure there was some hesitation from Triple H on this whole thing of like, dude, we just started getting momentum here, and you're kind of our biggest star in terms of ring announcers. Alicia Taylor on SmackDown is very good, but she's not Samantha Irvin. I'm sorry. She's just not.
Yes.
Now, if they were going to lose Irvin, I think they did about the best thing they could,
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
which
I think
was
so.
bringing
It's
Lillian
quite
Garcia
a
back.
loss, though. It's quite an incredible loss for them because she was really talented. I have not yet heard any speculation that she would go to work for AEW,
I have, and
but I'm sure there probably will be rumors about that.
Ricochet has already said, and this is wrestling, so take it with a fucking grain of salt. Ricochet's already said she's not going to AEW.
Yeah,
Now, do I think it's possible that eventually, in 5 years, she goes somewhere?
yeah,
Yeah. If this whole music thing doesn't work out, and you know what? I wish her the best. I really do because she was fantastic on WWE television.
right.
She was perfect for that role. And I know there's people angry that she left today. And to you, I say grow up
Yeah,
because people move on.
yep.
She's not a wrestler. She didn't grow up in this business. She's not, this isn't her
She's
thing
not a
per
wrestling
se.
person. She's a normal person. She's
Like
not like us. Us wrestling people are kind of weird.
like as wrestling people, we're in this for life. Me and you, this is a life sentence for us.
Yeah, we'll be watching it till we're dead.
Yeah, and you know what? She probably will too, because you know what? She's marrying a wrestler.
That's right. She's married into it now.
So, do I think that part of her just said, "Dude, I don't need the money. I'm sick of the travel. I'm in my 30s. I still have all my musical talent, and I want to capitalize on it." Do I think that's probably what she said? Is that for right now, I want to go home? I don't blame her because she was working all the house shows too. She
Right.
wasn't just doing Raw, SmackDown, and the pay per views, or Raw and the pay per views, or SmackDown and the pay per views when she was over on SmackDown. No, 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 no. She was doing every house show. She was doing every Raw or SmackDown, whichever one she was on, and she was doing all the pay per views, including European tours.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a lot
can
of
any
travel, man. That would wear you right down to a frazzle, wouldn't it?
and especially in her job where her job is literally talking all the time.
That's right. And you have
So
to really take good care of your voice.
so can anyone really blame her for saying, "Dude, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Well,
I've done this for 3 years."
the fans that are kind of upset about her, or mad at her, that really is childish. Like you said, grow up, because uh, there's a whole world out there that has nothing to do with pro wrestling.
And again, like, was I sad to see that she was leaving? Absolutely. But am I mad? No.
Right.
because that's
No doubt
ridiculous.
that she's very successful in whatever she does.
Yeah. And you know what? There's every chance that she's back there in 5, 6, 7 years. And you know what? We're all gonna fucking jump for joy, and it'll be like she
Yeah,
never left. And we'll go back to saying she's the greatest ring announcer of all time because she might be.
yep, that was very possible.
And it's crazy how impactful her run was for the fact that she was only there for really 2.5 years.
Right. Well, the ring announcer uh that AEW has, Justin
Justin Roberts, he's very
yeah,
good.
okay. He was at WWE for
Ever.
it seemed like he was there at least 10 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
Long, long time. I remember him, but
And he didn't have anywhere near the impact Irvin did in 2.5. And
exactly.
and that's a
Exactly.
transcendent, like generational type talent that she is, by the way. Like
Hmm.
she is phenomenally talented in so many ways. And again, I come back to this. It's like, guys, yes, we lost Samantha Irvin, but Lillian Garcia is pretty damn good in her own right.
Yep.
Like, is she different? Yes. But Lillian Garcia, people forget how good she was.
Very
And
good.
I think
And
last
as I
night was a
remember right,
reminder.
she also is a very talented singer.
Lillian, yeah, she is. So,
I mean, did she sang the national anthem a couple of times on WWE television? That was very well done.
so here's my thing. If you're gonna bitch and you're gonna moan today, don't. There's no reason to. There's other things to complain about that aren't this.
Right.
Now let's talk about Raw from last night. We're not talking about last week's Raw because really not much happened.
Well, last night was let's see. Oh, I pull up my notes here. Yeah, last night in
It opens
Philadelphia.
with it opens with Tessitore doing his standard. Have you ever noticed that? And I think this comes from Tessitore working with Lee Fitting at ESPN. That Lee Fitting, because I think it's Lee Fitting who directs commentary, at least on Raw. And Triple H obviously does too, but Lee has a big thing to do with that as well. Have you ever noticed that they really let Tessitore go at the beginning of the show? Like they
Yeah,
let him do his thing.
yes, they do, and it sounds very
Professional.
sports like. It sounds like I feel like I've when I hear his voice, I feel like I've tuned into a legitimate sporting event. You know,
And Tessitore gets his flack, which frankly I don't get. I think Tessitore's really good.
he gets flack from who?
Wrestling purists who think it should be wrestling announcers and
Oh
not.
no, no, I think he adds something very valuable to it. And like I said, he we don't know if he's going to be around when they switch over to.
No, he is. So here's the plan
Oh, he
as it
will
was
be.
told to me.
Okay,
He's going to SmackDown and Michael Cole's going to Raw. I think this whole Tessitore on Raw thing is kind of a trial run, so to speak, even though he's on like a 3-year deal.
right,
um, they wanted him on Raw at first because when they go to SmackDown, I think they wanted people at the USA Network to get familiar with him.
right. And I think SmackDown stays on USA
Yes, it does
and it stays on Fridays
for now.
for now. Possibly going to 3 hours at some point too.
Uh, that's going to be temporary if it does. So the
Well,
the
yeah, I
idea that
hope so because like I said, I want to I'd like the wrestling fans to get this whole weekly 3 hour show mentality just kind of purged out of us, so that we don't, fans that like that, they get a 2 hour Raw like last night and they think that they got gypped. No, it was a great show. It was just paced exactly right for what they did.
so the idea that got thrown around is Raw is going to be between 2 and 3 hours when it goes to Netflix. It's going to have that flexibility to kind of do whatever it wants, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with the varying length because if a show needs more time, let it breathe. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. If If SmackDown goes to 3 hours, the idea that's been thrown around is it will start right after the Royal Rumble and it will end in early May in terms of the 3 hour period. Do you know what that lines up perfectly with? WrestleMania.
Right, exactly. Now I was just thinking the same thing.
And that makes so much sense if you think about where the company is going. It makes so much sense.
Yes, it does.
Longer shows in the most important time of the year, and then shorten it back up again as you go into the summer. It
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
sure does.
Now, Raw last night opened with Tessitore doing his usual shtick, his
Right,
ESPN gimmick,
correct.
which I really like because I really like Joe Tessitore. I don't know how else to say that. I just really like Joe Tessitore. Anyway, um, we got a cool sky shot of the arena they were in last night,
And it seems like every week the standard shot now is we get to see a montage of people walking into the arena.
which is very ESPN.
Very, very much so.
Bronson Reed is walking in and he gets absolutely mauled by Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins kicking some ass there. Yes, indeed.
Now, WWE got really cheeky with their camera angles during this segment, and I don't know if you noticed it. So I knew about the Lillian Garcia thing and it had gotten reported, but it had not been confirmed by WWE yet.
Right,
What they did during the break after the Rollins Reed brawl angle is they had Tessitore get on the house mic and he brought Wade Barrett out because Wade Barrett wasn't even out there for that opening snippet, which is why they were so cagey with their camera angles. And or maybe Wade was out there. I don't remember. But anyway, they didn't show Lillian at all in that opening brawl segment, and they had
yeah,
no ring announcer for this whole opening segment. And the New Day come out for a match, and there's no ring announcer. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
right,
I'm thinking, is it possible that they're just not going to have a ring announcer here? Is it possible that they just actually don't know what they're doing? Um, but of course it wasn't because Lillian Garcia's music hits during the break for the house crowd.
right.
And Tessitore gets on the house mic and says, "We're gonna miss Samantha Irvin, but look who's back!
Yep.
But look,
Probably a big
guys!
surprise for a lot of people in the crowd, I'm sure.
But
I
look,
hope she got
guys!
a good pop.
Nostalgia!
Yeah,
Look, nostalgia! Um, this was awesome." And
yes,
Lillian gets this massive pop because they showed it on Twitter. Lillian gets this massive pop because, of course, she does.
right.
You're at Raw and Lillian Garcia comes back. You're not gonna pop for that? Just shut up. Yes, you are.
Yes.
Well, anyway, the first match of the night was Authors of Pain versus the New Day. We have seen this match before. We saw this match again.
Yes, this was a number one contenders qualifying match.
Oh, or as Lillian Garcia accidentally said it, number one containers.
There you go.
Look,
Yeah,
dude,
Akam
some of
and
that mic wash
Rezar,
is just going to be
you
there.
know, I mean, you knew how this was gonna win. You knew there's no way New Day's gonna win, but then they won.
I thought this match was fine.
Yeah,
And then we get a bunch of backstage stuff.
right.
Uh, that eventually leads to Damage Control versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan.
Yes, exactly.
We also had a really weird Carlito segment, like right before this.
Yes, what was up with that? That was kind of different.
Maybe it was after.
He was talking about Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I was really confused. Anyway, so this ends in a no contest because of course it does because well, this is probably a feud coming.
Yeah, who were these?
It was Damage Control. It was Kyrie Sane and
Right.
I believe Io Sky. Yeah, it was Io Sky.
Right.
Uh, and this was fine for what it was, but it didn't really get started in terms of a match. It
Yeah,
was a good
definitely
segment though.
controlled by DQ. Right.
Right, right. So the crowd popped for Rhea Ripley tossing Dominic Mysterio around, which I
Yes,
thought
they
was
did.
great.
That's good. And then we
Um,
got then we got a little package from the War Raiders, who are on
mhm.
about their fifth or sixth name now,
Yep.
just since they've been with this company.
I think this is their best one.
Yeah. When I first saw them, they were known as War Machine years ago,
Why
and
they
I
didn't just
believe
go back to that, I don't know. And I think they
Ring of
will
Honor, I
eventually.
think, is where probably they don't want to use it because it was Ring of Honor.
And that's now owned by your primary competition. Anyway,
That's right.
uh, we had another backstage brawl between Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins that ends in a match being made for Crown Jewel. I think everybody could have told you this was coming.
Yep. It will
It's
be
like, oh, well, these two guys don't like each other. Well, they're gonna fight.
right. It should be a good match. That'll be this Saturday.
And then we had a really good tag match.
You're talking about American Made versus Latino World Order.
Yes, this was very good.
I thought it was too, and I tell you, Lee and Julius Creed, wow, very, very, just so impressive, you know.
Brutus
And
and Julius are great.
what's that?
Brutus and Julius are great.
Yeah, oh yeah, Dragon Lee. Lee. I meant Dragon Lee. I was thinking of the wrong name. Brutus and Julius Creed, yes, versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee.
Great match. And I mean,
Yes,
what what more can you really say about this? You knew what this match was going to be. You knew it was going to be good. You just weren't sure how good.
right. And you got to see all the usual stuff, the 619 and the Frankensteiner and all that stuff.
And then we had the best Raw main event in a while. Braun Breaker and Jey Uso. And brother, did we get some angles here?
Yes, we did.
We got some angles. We got some teases. We got a schmaz.
Yes, this was a very very good main event, and it ended the way I figured that it would end because it seemed to me like maybe they took that title off him a little bit too soon.
And now he's a two-time Intercontinental Champion.
That's right, and I hope he gets to keep it for a while, establish himself. He says that he doesn't need his family's help. He doesn't need his family's name, but that could always change in the future, depending on whether or not the WWE wants to hire any of his family to come in and do something.
Well, here's the thing. The whole bloodline came out. Jacob Fatu, Solo Sokoa, the Tongans, all of them.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, if they could be doing a better job presenting Jacob Fatu, I don't know how. This was awesome
Yeah,
because he had a stare down with Braun
I
Breaker.
think out of all of the new bloodline members, he's far and away the most impressive one to me. And what
Well, it's him or Tama,
correct me,
right?
was he briefly in WWE or he had just had a couple of one-off appearances before?
No.
I thought that perhaps he was in a Rumble or something.
Mm.
I could have swore I saw him pop up in WWE, but it must have been another company.
Well, Tama has probably been the second most impressive new member because it's Tama Tonga. He's really good. I don't think I'm breaking any news here.
Yeah.
Russ, let's talk about Dynamite.
Dynamite was interesting this year week,
This
wasn't it?
year.
Started with this John Moxley character that he's doing. He's so mad at the AEW. He hates that belt. Now we know why he wants to put it out of sight because he can't stand to look at it. It makes him sick. Represents everything he hates about wrestling.
This John Moxley character is so good.
Yeah.
It is so old school in a way. And it's just he's kind of playing the grizzled vet who's pissed off and he's sick of these young guys being celebrated. And he's like, this is hard, dude.
Yes.
This isn't supposed to be fun and games. This is war.
The most interesting version of his character I've seen so far.
Speaking of interesting, I think that's one way to word this Adam Cole promo. Um, he said a lot here without really saying much, as he so often does.
Yeah, he got on the mic and he basically talked about MJF.
Yeah, he's like, you're sick of MJF. I'm sick of MJF. I want to fight MJF. Max, get out here. And Max, of course, doesn't. We get a pre-taped promo package instead.
Right.
And that is pretty much how this ended.
Yeah, but people are making fun of MJF's hair now, aren't they?
Yes.
Nothing's off limits, I guess, huh?
No, no, nothing is off limits. We had after this FTR actually on television.
FTR versus the Learning Tree.
It was Big Bill and Brian Keith against FTR. I
Correct.
actually thought this was pretty good for a Big Bill
I
match
thought it was
anyway.
great too. And post-match celebration with the Outrunners, which was always makes me smile. It's just those guys aren't even trying to be taken that seriously. You know, they're out there having a lot of fun, and I get it. I really enjoy it a lot. You know, you know
I
that
think that's
they
a
claim that they are the youngest men in wrestling today.
sure, guys.
Yeah, you can tell that by Turbo Floyd's bald head, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing. I think this Dynamite show overall was actually really fun. And I
Yeah.
think that's a good I think this was just a fun show.
Well, I was enjoying it more until I don't enjoy it when Mercedes Monet comes out. I don't enjoy it so much. She had the
Well, Queen
match up there with
Aminata,
Queen Aminata.
who's very good, by the way. Aminata's very good.
She's good. She's very good. And I think she should have won that, but I knew she wasn't gonna. But I think she's one of the better female wrestlers they have on the roster right now.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mercedes Monet, who is she over with? Who likes her? I don't hear the crowd chanting CEO like they did the first few times she was there.
I don't know. I think this character just isn't connecting the way that maybe they thought it would.
It just isn't connected with the public at all. Not at all.
And then we
Uh,
had a weird match that was good for what it was, but it was weird. It was Okada and the Bucks against Romero, Cassidy, and O'Reilly.
yes, a weird combination. New
Good for
Bucks
what
and
it
Okada.
was. Good for what it was, but weird.
Yes, with a DQ win, conglomeration wins by DQ. Uh, yeah, unusual match. Dark Order got involved. We've been seeing more of those guys here lately. Uh, what the hell? John Silver. What's the other guy's name that we see all the time? Alex
Uh,
Reynolds.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, anyway, we
they
had
must
Shelton.
have they must have a following, but I've never been fans of their work at all.
We had Shelton Benjamin and Leo Rush next.
That was good.
I do not care how old Shelton Benjamin is. I will let him wrestle on my television
Yeah,
forever.
right.
This guy is so good.
He's very
He's
good. And I'm glad he gave Leo Rush a very rough match, and I thought
and he beat
maybe he
him.
gave him a little bit too much offense because I'm not a huge Leo Rush fan. I'm not saying he's not talented. I just his attitude rubs me the wrong way, you know. Uh, Shelton Benjamin, he's never been one that's talked very much, and so if he needs someone to talk for him, MVP is a perfect talker for him. Can help get him over, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come for Shelton Benjamin and MVP. It's off to a good start.
Then we had perhaps the worst promoted main event of all time. Christian Cage and Jay White, that was promoted for like 2 minutes while the match was going.
Right.
Like,
No buildup.
no buildup whatsoever. I mean, there was a buildup, but they didn't talk about it. So
Well, here's the thing: if they do little clips or little vignettes that build up to this, if they are on Collision, I may or may not see them. If they're on Rampage, I almost certainly won't see them. But that's why sometimes we've talked about AEW does this before. A lot of times they don't have strong buildup to their matches.
but this
Jay
match,
White, I think Jay White deserves a better push than he's had with this company. And I hope that they start doing more with him.
I hope they start doing more with him. I
I
hope
mean, I hope they start letting him win some matches and get some belts.
they should have had him win here. He should have beat Christian. And I get it. Like, Christian is still one of my favorite active performers. And I think he's one
Sure.
of yours too. Like,
Yeah.
he is great. You ever notice that? We will criticize AEW nonstop. But think about how many of our favorite wrestlers are in AEW.
Yeah. You got some very,
Osprey,
very good ones.
Osprey, Jay White, MJF, Okada when he's not
Christian.
Christian, Mox, Danielson when he was still going.
Yeah.
Just they've got so much talent. Talent is not AEW's problem, and it never has been.
Yeah, they got plenty of great talent.
Well, Christian beats Jay White, and this match would have probably been a lot better had it been the other way around.
Yeah. Kip Sabian is up to something here. He keeps popping up now and then, but he's not really doing very much. He's another example of a very talented wrestler that in a roster that crowded with that many really talented people, how do you find a spot for a talent like Kip Sabian who really is talented to shine? They got too many wrestlers for the amount of hours of programming that they have. And God, I'm not saying do more programs. That's the
Oh,
last
please
thing we
don't.
need is more wrestling programs.
So I didn't see all of SmackDown. In fact, I didn't see most of it. But the one thing I want to talk about from SmackDown, other than the Roman Reigns stuff, even though nothing really came of that, honestly, not much anyway. The Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes.
And they actually called them the Motor City. I I about lost my mind when I saw that.
Yep.
I was because I think I even told you, I don't know if I said it on the show, but I know I told you they're going to change their name because guns.
Right. And they were in a three-way with A-Town Down Under and Los Garza and won that match. So they will get to contend. Yes, I was very impressed, and they talked a little bit about their history. And I just thought that was very, very well done. That was a highlight of the show for me. Although, did you see Lash Legend versus Piper Niven?
I heard it was a mess.
Well, Lash Legend is got great, I mean, real size, real
Yeah.
big.
Not
I
really good in the ring.
What's that?
Not good in the ring.
Well, she reminds me a little bit of Jade Cargill, although Jade Cargill, I think, wrestles better at this point. Somebody that looks like that, you need to find somebody, the main thing she's got going for her is her look, and she deserves a better name than Lash Legend. I don't who came up with that. That's
I
that's not
believe
that great, but she beat Piper Niven. Piper Niven as a better wrestler should have won it. But I was just impressed with the lady's size, haven't seen her wrestle. I assume that she's been on NXT mostly.
Yeah. So, you know who I think came up with the name Lash Legend? I think his name rhymes with mince meat or Mince McMahon.
Yeah, that
I think
sounds like a Vince McMahon creation right
I think
there.
it rhymes with Mince McMahon.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, like I said, I didn't see a lot of SmackDown. I only saw bits and pieces.
Right.
Just had stuff going on last week. But Russ, what did you think the best show of the week was? You saw all three of them.
Raw
Yeah,
last night. Raw.
last night's Raw.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought last night's Raw was just so good, and they they really got. It felt like they got punched in the mouth 6 hours before this with the whole Irvin being gone, and this being the first
Yep.
show without her. This felt like a punch in the mouth for 6 hours, and then you watch 2 hours of Raw and you remembered, wait a second, this is WWE. Triple H has his
Yeah,
you
it
know what together.
was fun. Definitely. And this Saturday, I'm not sure what time it'll come on. Probably around 11 o'clock or noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Here in Iowa, the Crown Jewel.
That's not this
Jewel.
Saturday.
I always
It's
want
the
to slip up and call it Crown Royal. I think no,
it's
that
not this
Crown
Saturday.
Royal.
It's next Saturday. It's the 2nd of November. It's not this week.
I did that again. I keep thinking it's coming up this week
You
for
did that in
some
the
reason.
pre-show too.
I got it in my
So
brain. Well, we will do a regular show this weekend, and
yes.
then we'll follow up the pay-per-view on the Saturday, the November 2nd. Thank you.
Now here's the interesting thing. Inside baseball for you. Me and Russ before the show every week we talk about what we're going to talk about on the show. And Russ made that exact same mistake in the
Yeah, I
pre-show
sure did.
meeting.
I had the exact same mistake.
We,
I did it
I was like,
twice now.
Russ,
Just watch.
Russ,
I'll be texting you this Saturday saying, "Where's Crown Royal? I can't find it. It's done on my TV."
and I'll say, what's Crown Royal? You mean Crown Jewel? You're a week
No,
early, bud.
Crown Royal is what I've been drinking all day long so that I can watch this wrestling.
For some reason, I feel like that is exactly. I feel like that's happened before. Anyway,
Yeah. Well,
we've been
not
doing
all
this
day
show long
long.
enough.
Not all day long, but yeah.
We have been doing this show long enough now where that is believable to have happened.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, me and Russ, well, we've been here a while. We're not leaving. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought Raw was incredible last night. I
Good show.
and again to go from what felt like to the fans for sure a punch in the mouth. For WWE, again they knew this was coming, but to the fans this felt like we just got socked in the face.
Yeah.
And to turn it around and kind of turn it into what it was,
It was good.
props to them for really kind of because last night's Raw after the Samantha Irvin news came out had everything against it. Because had they
Yeah.
not had Lillian Garcia, had they just tried to act like it didn't happen,
Right.
people were ready to shit on that show
But
regardless.
they pulled it off. They did very well.
And I think you agree with me that people were ready to shit on that Raw last night
Yeah.
purely based on what happened earlier in the day. And it worked out in their favor that they were able to get Lillian Garcia. And even if they weren't, the fear everybody had is that they weren't going to acknowledge Irvin's departure on Raw,
Yeah.
and they did. They had to, but you know, in the Vince era, they wouldn't have. They would have just moved right along.
Yes.
They wouldn't have acknowledged it because when Justin Roberts left, they didn't acknowledge it. When Tony
Well,
Chimel
they
left,
did.
they didn't acknowledge it. Hell, I think even when Howard Finkel left, they didn't fucking acknowledge it.
Right. Absolutely. And by the way, Adam Pearce, I think, is really excellent in his role. Of the Raw manager role, I think he's doing the best job of anybody in years in fulfilling that role. I think he's really excellent. His phrase, "I need a drink,"
Relatable.
relate to
He's
that.
relatable. Well, buddy, that's gonna do it for us this week, I think. I'm gonna go watch a bunch of hockey because
Yes.
there's 16 games tonight. Go check
Wow.
out NFL.
Yeah.
The fourth time we talked about this on Lock 22 Daily, probably yesterday when this goes up, but on the Tuesday show. that I host now for
Right.
some reason. Um, can't believe I'm doing
Another
that.
man.
Um, so we talked about it there. This is only the fourth time in NHL history that all the teams have played on the same day. So it's crazy.
Well, you're going to be
But
up all night
folks,
long watching hockey, probably.
probably. Well, at least there's no wrestling tonight. That's the good news.
Exactly. Well, actually, over on CW, there is NXT, but
Speaking of NXT, one last thing. They're going to the 2300 Arena in Philly
they are.
on a Wednesday
No
because they're
kidding.
doing it because they're doing it the week of the election. That shows the week of the election, and
Oh, yeah.
they're not going to go head to head with election coverage because that's just death.
Right.
Um,
I hope we'll know very soon who wins the election. I don't want one of these scenarios where we're hanging around for several days and not knowing. Can I mention one thing? I want to throw a weird recommendation out there. I
yeah.
thought of this when I mentioned Adam Pierce. One of Adam Pierce's old matches, he had some great matches, but this one is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You can find it on YouTube, and the promotion was WXO. Here's the tag team. You had Adam Pierce and Tommy Rogers, formerly of the Fantastics, against Eric Watts and John Zandig.
What?
Adam Pierce and Tommy Rogers versus Eric Watts and Zandig. I'm not. You got to see it to believe it. It's the weirdest thing you've ever. It's like you got three different styles of promotion and three different eras of wrestling all just crashing together there.
I,
You got to
you
see it
could
to you got to check it out sometime. We'll talk about it.
you could not have like Zanging?
Yeah, Zandig and Eric Watts versus Adam Pierce and Tommy Rogers.
Okay. Okay. Explain to me how it's possible that Adam Pierce was the most successful of those four guys.
Oh, far and away the most successful. Yeah, I think so. Although I guess the Fantastics back in the day, in the old WCW, they had a pretty good run. What was
They
it?
had a good run.
Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. They were just
It
like another Midnight Express ripoff.
well, yeah, because the Midnight Express was so successful, they had to do it four times and with 16 different guys. Anyway,
with diminishing returns.
exceedingly so, and the Fantastics may have been the most diminished of those returns. Anyway,
That's right. They
somehow.
were not that fantastic, you might say.
Uh, Tommy Rogers was good, but
Yes. And Adam Pierce was great. This was just it's just such an odd. Well, WXO was a very, very, very short-lived company. They only recorded like 3 TV shows that aired. I remember Ted DiBiase was there, and they had Typhoon, uh, Tugboat, whatever his name was, Shockmaster, whatever you want to call him.
isn't
Anyway,
it
that's my 2 cents worth for the week. So
isn't it isn't it
yes,
crazy that that match even existed?
yes,
That
yeah.
it
That's just what's so odd about it. It's one of those ones you got to see it to believe it.
well,
Because if I told you that was a match I found and like it was April 1st, you'd think I was pulling an April Fool's joke on you.
if we were recording this show on April 1st, I would legitimately have just said, "You're fucking with me. Shut up."
Yeah. Nope, it's there. You'll see it.
All right, folks. We will see you next
Peace.
week. Hopefully, we're going to get back on track with this schedule, but we're
Yes.
trying. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Damon, play our music.